just give it to her. Okay.
You can just hold it in your hand and talk to it so you don't need to look that way. So do your intro. Take a hand in it. You don't need to stop. No. Now you're done.
Might be kind of hard stretching wise. I don't know how to do it. Okay. How do you do that? Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are going to be doing a couple of things today. We'll review a little bit about what we accomplished last week, primarily the intention and the walk, as well as beginning the rock. Afterwards, we'll go ahead and touch a little bit on some familiar territory as a reminder of how things should go within the movements. But before we do that, something to keep in mind as weather shifts and we have warm days and we have cold days, before attempting any of our Tai Chi, it's important that we are warmed up. So I'm going to pass it off to Master Hayden so she can get us warmed up.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Let us go ahead and start with a morning stretch. Get all of your kinks out. As you relax those arms down, go ahead and put a slight bend into your knees. Lifting your chest up. Good. Go ahead and rest your head down. Rolling it to the right side, to the back, to the left. Continue all the way around. Begin to steady your breath. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Go ahead and change directions. With a full and steady breath, as you return back to the center, go ahead and lift your head all the way up, closing your jaw, and back to the center, and to the right side, and to the left. Good, and back to the center. If you would place your right palm by your left ear, gently ease it towards your right shoulder, breathing in through your nose. Release and out through your mouth, switching sides. Easing your head down towards your left shoulder, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth and release. Good. Go ahead and bring your fingertips to the back, easing your chin down, breathing in through your nose. Release and out through your mouth. Let us do shoulder shrugs and release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last time, and roll them back. Continue with that full and steady breath. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last time. Good, and go forward. Be mindful that you still have a slight bend in your knees. 4, 5, 6, 7. Last time. Good. Go ahead and shake it out. Let us go ahead and bring our hands to our hips. We're going to do some rotations around. If you would engage in your abdomen and your backside as well. Continue with that steady inhale and that steady exhale and change directions. Good. As you return back to center, if you'd step forward with your right leg as you bend into the knee, keeping ears over shoulders, over hips. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And go ahead and switch feet. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Good. Go ahead and slowly ease back. Let us go ahead and bring our hands to our knees. We're going to do some circles and changing directions. Good. And slowly ease back up. Let us go ahead and find a floor space. If you would stretch out your left side, bringing that right side in, flexing the toes back, easing into your stretch. Be mindful to keep your back as straight as possible. Breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Pointing the foot, pointing the toes. Good. Go ahead and slowly ease back. Let us switch sides. With our right side out, flexing the foot and the toes back. As you ease into your stretch, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Point your foot, point your toes. Good, and slowly ease back. For our last piece, bring the bottoms of your feet together, drawing the heels in. Slowly ease forward. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Very nice. Let us go ahead and ease back.
Hopefully you are all warmed up and ready to go. A couple of other things on the warm-up front. We've done these before, and it's a good exercise to make sure that the blood is flowing and making it easier for some of the movements that we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing a modified picking fruit where we pretty much stay on one side. The idea is that you're still going to be in your horse stance to begin with, but as you go up and you reach as high as you can, you're going to grab, pull up, but instead of letting go, you're going to basically reverse course. You're pushing back with the leg and reaching up with the arm. It's a lot of stretch within here. You'll feel it in the back of the leg. And again, as you're coming back, you want to feel like you're almost squishing something together. So the top is being pushed up, the bottom here of the arm is being pushed down. Those two in combination, and then reversing that direction. You want to plan to do about 3 on each side. So switching to the other side, again reaching up just as if picking fruit. As we come down, we're pushing together, and then we're pulling apart. It's important to have those two words in your mind because it really is that pushing together feel and then pulling apart. So there's resistance, like there's a gigantic rubber band as you are working it. This exercise then helps to deliver blood and oxygen throughout the body, helping it to wake up in different ways. It also helps for stimulating those areas before we begin. If you are feeling a little unsteady that morning or evening, having a chair handy is a good idea. So as you're going up and down, you're still holding on to something. The idea is that push and pull is what's working those muscles. Hopefully you are definitely warmed up at this point. I want to talk about or review really quickly the walk. We talked last week about the intention of the walk. We talked about scooping up leaves and throwing them as we go. It's important to recognize that before you begin the walk, you start from horse stance. If you remember long ago, our horse stance is not just us standing. It's us holding on. We've talked about that ball between the legs or holding on to a horse itself. It's that feeling of locking on to. It's not that I'm just relaxed and my knees are bent. It's that my knees are bent and I'm holding on to. That resistance piece is what you're going to end up using then as we take those steps forward. Toe heel, using that to pull us forward, pushing the foot down, pulling us forward still. Each one of these movements then has a push and pull as well. But the idea is that it's never a relaxed feeling on that. Just like standing in horse stance is not a relaxed feeling. It's a readiness. It's an anticipation. It's thinking about what is about ready to come and being ready for it. In our day-to-day lives, we've talked about how things are coming at us left and right. And the idea is that we don't want it to knock us off our gait, but we want it to be able to roll past us or by us and allow us to continue to move forward. Our steps within the walk then are just that. The idea is an intention of not only as we have that string pulling us up, we plant our foot and it pulls us forward. It's that grabbing onto that shag carpet. With our other foot, as we place heel down, it's like pushing in a stake and rolling over on top of it. A tent stake, not a meat steak. So each step then has a purpose, and that purpose then is intentional. We want to make sure that as we take our steps, we're using those steps to continue to propel us forward. Now, with the rock, it's similar. Instead of going in a line, we're going in a circle. And it's important that we're aware of the intention there. The intention I would like for you to think about is sort of like a lock, the tumblers in a lock. Realize that to get to the rock, we've gone through 1 series, 2 series, 3 series. We're all the way to the end. So we've gone through several different locks. That means that our movements have that resistance. Just like our horse stance does for the walk, when we're doing the rock, we have all 7 locks engaged. With those 7 locks engaged is what I want you to approach before beginning the rock. So getting into your T stance, take a moment to lock in those areas within the body that we've talked about, and then go ahead and try doing the rock, where we have the hips pulling us out. The hips will then come under, propelling us back. We use that tightening of the abs and core to bring up our leg. As we bring our leg out, pressing it down, shifting on top, lifting up, over, and down. Those movements are important in many different ways, but the idea is that as we begin, you want to make sure that with those locks engaged, they become the anchor of what we're holding on to as we go from one side to the next, as we are pushed or pulled. Especially with our stepping, just like when we do our walk and we have attention with that stepping, within the rock there's an intention as well. That intention comes from the hips. So the idea is that as we come down, the hips come out, and that brings the body down. As we come up, the hips roll under, pushing us back. As it pushes us back, we have that engagement within the core, allowing for our leg to come up. When our leg comes up then, as we bring it out, make sure it's a solo trip. The idea is that you don't want to bring your body with it. The idea is that it's coming out, and then you're pressing down. As if you're going upstairs or you're pressing on the brake, you're pressing down to make that contact of heel-toe, and then shifting over. That shifting over then allows for the lightness of the leg to come up, over, and down. Within practicing these, I want you to keep in mind of all 7 of your locks. These movements can be practiced without the locks, but they're a lot harder. By engaging in the locks, you have a more real-world feel of what these postures are like. And you can count on different areas to help with that shifting, with that planting, with that lifting. All those movements then are right there for you. You don't have to then all of a sudden turn them on. When needed, they are already on. The last piece I want to talk about for the rock is awareness. We've talked about as we walk, there's an awareness or an intention. When we're doing the rock, it's important that we're not only aware of those 7 locks, that's the sort of physical piece of it. The mental piece of it is actually the front of your body and the back of your body. It's important that both of those are considered with each movement, because as we go forward and we're using the animals, there's a lot that's going on in the torso and also in the back. That doesn't mean you have to lock anything other than the locks, but the awareness of stretching, going into that feel. So as we go down, there's an importance of feeling the body in the back, feeling that stretch. As we come back up and back, there's that stretch that we're aware of in the front. And then as we come up and over, making sure that that sort of string pulling us up is there, balancing both front and back. So if you have an opportunity to practice the rock this week, that's what I would go ahead and encourage you to focus on, both keeping an eye on the locks, but also keeping an eye on the front and the back. In particular, the stretching feel, the getting into that posture, whichever one it might be. The last thing I will leave you with before we sign off for this week is if you can practice the turn. So we've talked about the walk. Now I want to go ahead and apply it in a couple of different ways. So in this sense, think about how that turn then occurs within our stepping, within our timing, within our movements. We're going to approach that a little bit more next time we meet. But as far as your gonka goes, continuing to practice not only the walk with intention, and in particular, making sure that you're starting with that resistance, that horse stance of holding on to that horse, and continue to hold on to that as we walk, as opposed to just standing and taking steps. Also for the rock, being aware to start off with all 7 locks, and being mindful of both the front of your body and the back of your body. And when the opportunity comes to stretch into those, take full advantage of them, both for the coming down and for the coming up piece. And if you're looking for that extra credit, go ahead and practice the turn a couple of times, as that is where our focus will end. So as a reward for getting this far, the joke is more of a saying. Do you think that in Hawaii they allow a loud laughing or a low ha? Thank you all for joining us. Again, as always, if you have questions, please email them to us as we sort of build these sessions around your inquiries. Otherwise, enjoy yourselves, have a wonderful holiday break, and we will see you next time. Thank you all very much.